I'm at King's Meadow Nature Reserve, and at the bottom end of the reserve is a fantastic display of orchids, many of whom look to me like southern marsh orchids. And you can example, if you look at the leaves on this, there are no spots on the leaves at all, suggesting it is indeed a southern marsh orchid, and the flowers are certainly that shape. And if you look back into the distance there, you can see how many of these there are. It's an absolutely fantastic display, and none of the ones here have any spots on their leaves. But if I walk further on, you can see these plants everywhere under my feet, over there behind the willow herbs. But over here there is one which is definitely an absolutely fantastic and majestic common spotted orchid, and if you go down to the base you can definitely see the spots on the leaves here. What a fantastic plant. But it does seem to suggest to me we've got a mixing of two different kinds of orchids here, and we're bound to have a number of hybrids. But whatever, these plants here are extremely successful. They're dotted all over this bottom of the site here. Wow, just look at these. Just look at these. And here we've got marsh orchids and spotted orchids growing together. This one here, this plant here, is obviously a spotted orchid, but it's been bitten off. Another one there, but these are no spots on the leaves. This one has no spots on the leaves at all either. But obviously we've got a case of intermingling on this side. Just look at this group here. How about that for a clump of orchids? Now, if you look at these closely, you'll see that this plant here is a common spotted orchid. Look at the very clear spots on the leaves, but the ones over here have no spots on the leaves at all, and they're growing in the same clump. In fact, I've never seen a clump of orchids growing like this before. They're incredibly beautiful, and because it's at the bottom end of a site, they're relatively untroubled by nature and by man's predations. But there are large clumps of these plants all over here. Look at this. A common spotted orchid probably, but no spots on the leaves. This one is definitely a common spotted orchid. Look down, spots on the leaves.